What would happen if a cutting disc like this was to explode and the effects it would have on an eyeball? I'm Andrew Shorley, RSPRO Engineering Manager, and we'll be using a 300 mile/hour air rifle on good, bad and no PPE. To replicate flying debris, we created this contraption. It is effectively a simple air rifle with a controlled compressed air source, an electrical switch. For safety reasons, we can then do it at a safe distance, and the ability to target the location repeatedly. So we can do safe, repeated tests. In this case, we're using a muzzle velocity of about 300 miles an hour. This can replicate a grind wheel shattering, which is a very common thing in many engineering applications. We can now test our PPE. Let's see what happens under the focus of this air rifle. So sometimes it's really easy to spot compliant, and sometimes just as easy to spot non-compliant goggles. You've got some which come with nothing, some which come with some information, and those are sometimes the hardest ones to identify. And then you have some which meet all the legal requirements. The legal requirements may seem like boring legislative requirements that have no real relation to practical use, but that's wrong. That's utterly wrong. And person's safety can often depend on what needs to be going on with the device, with the information that's provided with it, and in some cases, how it is handled and stored. All of these things will have an impact on the person's safety and the longevity of the device, how they can use it for. Starting on the left-hand side, you have a set of goggles that have come with no information whatsoever. In safety goggles, there are different styles of impact and danger, and there are different types of application. With no information supplied with the goggles, you do not know how to use it, where it's safe to use, even how to store it, how to look after it. None of that information is provided with these. These are useless. Then you get some products that come with other information that come with it. Now, for starters, it has in big letters for the US. That is meaning it has been set up for the wrong market. It means it's tested to the wrong specifications, the wrong applications, and it doesn't even meet the European legislation that is all requirement for PPE. So quite clearly, it is not right. What is more is that under the latest legislation, you have to have a UK and European address. These actually relate to Chinese details. Again, what seems straightforward can very quickly become illegal and unsafe. Finally, you have these, which are a European brand. They come with all the relevant information, and it is instantly present and indelibly marked on the product. You buy this product, it's still sealed, it's been heat sealed, and you can very quickly identify that it's not been tampered with, it meets the specifications, and it is not a counterfeit product. I cannot say the same about those devices. Those, for all we know, could be easily counterfeited and actually have no safety specifications whatsoever. Let's start looking at the results. In the case of this one, it's a boiled egg. For size, shape, it's as close as we're comfortable to go for the human eyeball. As you can see, the ball bearing passed straight through. In fact, if you look carefully, there's actually daylight. This would have blinded someone and done some serious damage if it was actually fired into a human eye, the results of which I dread to think about. The first test we did was on the cheapest, most questionable safety-wise goggles we've got. And as you can see, the ball bearing passed straight through the lens. Not only that, but it did so much damage passing through the lens, it's actually created shrapnel that's created an even bigger wound in the egg itself. So before we had just a small hole passing through the egg. Now we've got a much larger damage pattern and embedded pieces of plastic from the broken lens. In this instance, this demonstrates when substandard or incorrect PPE is actually more dangerous than having no PPE whatsoever. So the next set of sample we looked at was the American specified one. Now on first glances, it hasn't actually penetrated the lens whatsoever, so you'd think that this was a success. But there is, you can see, deformation on the lens, so there was definitely an impact. It was also a failure because it's dislodged the lens. In this instance, we had a single projectile hitting the lens. What in a real life environment, you actually had multiple impacts. That would mean after the first impact, the lens would dislodge and you have no protection. Again, this is a fail because the PPE has become broken in the process of being tested. As you can see, the lens is now freely moving and could potentially fall off. Here we have the fully compliant RS version of goggles. Under exactly the same test conditions, there is no visible damage to the lenses ourselves. The lenses are still strong and intact, and there is no movement within the frames. These are fully compliant. There is a little bit of marking of the egg spatter, but that is more of a case of the goggles themselves physically having to move from the impact, which ironically is a good thing. It took the entire force across all the glasses, rather than focusing it on one area, or worse, breaking under the stress. As part of the legal requirements for PPE, glasses and goggles is that they have to be able to easily be discernible to what they're rated to. Again, going back to the other failures, wrong products for the wrong application can be even more dangerous than no products whatsoever. As part of the requirements, they actually have to indicate what is on the actual specifications for these glasses. And that is indelibly marked on the actual lenses themselves. So anyone who is to pick these glasses up without the packaging, without prior knowledge of what the products are, can and quickly understand what they're rated to. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to watch out for all our other videos where you can see us destroying various types of PPE.